What's up, YouTube? Welcome back for another video. So this is actually going to be a continuation of my last video. It's going to be like a part 2. So in my last video I installed the oil catch can, which I have over here, the ADDW1 catch can, stage 1, which is for the CCV side of the intake system. So now today, well, same day, but in this video I'm going to install the other catch can, another ADDW1. This is considered the stage 2, that's what they call it. And this one's going to be for the PCV side. So the CCV side was pretty simple. You just have to cut, there was like a hose that was going across here. You just have to cut that hose. One side goes to the inlet of the catch can, one goes to the outlet. Pretty simple. On this one, the stage 2 one, you don't have to cut any hoses, but you do have to remove a lot more stuff. So let me just move this box. Okay, so for the PCV side catch can, the first thing you need to do is obviously remove the engine cover. That's already gone because I had to remove that to do the CCV side. But now what we have to do is we actually have to remove the whole intercooler, because the hose that we need to get to for the PCV is underneath the intercooler. So I'm gonna remove this whole intercooler, and then I'll show you guys the hose that we need to remove. It's a very small, like L-shaped hose that we need to remove. It's right by an orange plug that's underneath the intercooler. And then to remove the intercooler, you have one bolt over there, one hose clamp here, and you have another bolt up there, and then there's another hose clamp. It's kind of hard to see where my finger is down there. Alright guys, so I got the intercooler off, down there. The bolts that are holding it in, they're all 12 millimeters. And then I also removed, there was like an intercooler bracket that was sitting here. My CCV catch can was mounted to it, so I just removed the bolts, removed the bracket, and that way I got more space. And then it honestly wasn't that difficult to remove. What I did is first I disconnected it from the inlet over here, down where my finger is over here, you can see. So I pulled it upwards, like wiggled it upwards until it popped out. And then for the left one, the left side, just wiggle it until it pops out there. And then it doesn't weigh that much, so I was able to get it out pretty easily. If you don't have a strut bar, then it'll be even easier, because I had to maneuver mine around the strut bar, so the strut bar was kind of in the way. But yeah, that's removed, got all this space. So now I'm going to show you which hose it is that we need to disconnect for the PCV catch can. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can get you guys view. There is like an L-shaped hose down here. It's right over here where my finger is. There's one back there. That is the L-shaped hose you gotta remove. But there is one portion of it connects down there. The other portion connects over here. So the hose that we need to remove. I think I'm gonna try to reuse those OEM clamps, because those are much easier to use than trying to get a screwdriver or a socket down there to tighten it. Also, because it's pretty far in there, like here's the edge of the car, and then it's all the way in there, so it's kind of hard to get to. So whatever makes it easier is better. So here is the hose, that little angled piece that I pulled off. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty tough to get off. Like, it's really tight down there and it's hard to get in there. But just take your time, be patient, and then once you get the hose clamps like loosed, just start pulling slowly on the tube, and eventually you'll see it start to give out and it'll come off pretty easily. And then also get a cloth or like some kind of, I have like an old shirt here. I'll just put it against the fender, because I've been like rubbing up against this fender trying to get in there. So now there is a port down there. That's where the lower part of the, let's see if I can point down. So down here, my fingers over here, there's a little port here, and then there's another one over here, where my finger's over here. So there's one here, one down there. That's where that hose was connected. So got it off now, thank God. I think that was the hardest part. Now is just running the lines and mounting the new catch can. So same thing as with the other catch can. You want to mount the bracket first, the whole bracket. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick, just in case you forget how to do that. Okay, so when you're putting this bracket together, these little Allen keys here are 2.5, and then you have these bolts. There's a bolt and a nut. The bolt head is a 4mm Allen. The nut, I believe, is an 8mm. So here is the bracket that mounts to the intercooler bracket itself, and this is the bracket that goes on the catch can, basically on the top here. And then this is how you mount them. So you take the bolt, put it through the 2 brackets. Sorry, other way around, like this. You have your bolt going through. And then on the inside part, you put your nut. And then you tighten these down. So it's gonna look like this. So put this together, and then I'll show you how to mount it onto the catch can itself. So here I have the bracket put together, and I actually had it backwards. So you want this piece facing the same direction as this angled piece down here. And then the catch can is actually gonna mount like this. And as you can see here, I have the Allen bolts on this side, and then the nuts are on the inside. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna remove these 2 Allen bolts here, and then put the bracket on, and then put the bolts back on to tighten it down. Okay, here we have everything put together. We have the catch can, bracket, and it's fully installed. So now the only thing left to do is put the 2 inlet and outlet ports here, and then there's a small one and a big one, so I'll show you guys which one goes where. And then mine came with little O-rings, so I'm gonna use the O-rings on the outlets. If yours doesn't have O-rings, then you can use Teflon tape. Okay, so for this catch can, there's 2 different size fittings. So the 9mm fitting, the smaller one, goes on the inlet. The 15mm fitting, the larger one, goes on the outlet. It's just like this. So, okay, this is ready to go. So now we're just gonna connect the hoses where they need to go on the PVC system. And then we can put the intercooler back on, mount the catch can, and then close everything back up. All right, guys, after a decent amount of struggling, finally got this hose on there. So remember, this is the 9mm hose that I was attaching. This guy right here. And then if you guys can follow the hose, it is really hard to see, but down there where it connects, and you can see, I use the OEM clamp because using the ones that it came with, it's like impossible. It's so hard to get a wrench down there to tighten it. And then the clamp, when I use it, just fell to the bottom of the hose, and then as I was tightening it, it actually ended up squeezing the hose and popped it off. So with the OEM one, that should be fine. I'll use the regular hose clamp on the actual catch can when I connect it. But yeah, so that's one. Now time to get the other line, and that's the inlet. So the 9mm, the small one, that connects to the bottom port where that angled piece was. So if I look here, inlet is the lower fitting. So yeah, so the 9mm small one, that's the inlet. Outlet is the upper portion of that angled hose, and that's 15mm. So now I'm going to connect the upper one. Alright guys, so I got that second hose, the upper one, installed. So the big one is this guy right here, and then it's kind of hard to see, but down in there is the big hose. The big hose is for the outlet. That's the upper connection point. So once these are both connected, and I used the clamps that it came with for the top hose, the big one. The OEM one, it wouldn't even go on the hose, like, you know, when I had it out of the car. So there was no way it was gonna fit over that the fitting. So, but yeah, I tightened it down. That one wasn't too difficult to get to. And then for the smaller one with the OEM clamps, slowly like wiggle that clamp down so that it's over the fitting. But now that those hoses are connected, now we can start putting everything back together. I'm just gonna, tuck these hoses away like underneath, and I'm gonna mount the intercooler. And then the stage 2 catch can for the PVC is gonna mount there with that hole. There's some new hardware they came with, same type of hardware that was on the stage 1 catch can. But yeah, that's where that one mounts. So let's start putting everything back together. So let's put the intercooler back on, tighten that up, put all the brackets on, and then I'll show you what the final product looks like. So now we got everything back together. The intercooler is back on there. It's pretty easy to put on. The inlet and outlet of the intercooler fit back onto the hose clamps pretty easily. I have here the stage 1 catch can bracket. Don't drop any bolts. I actually dropped one of mine when I was installing it. So I have one of the OEM bolts and then one of the ADDW1 bolts because that one fell underneath and I'm gonna have to try to find it. And then here, tucked over here, I have the stage 2 catch can. So this one, as you can see, over there where my finger is, that is the new mounting hardware. It's an Allen key, same thing as the other one. It's a 6mm, I think. So it's kind of hard to get in there. So with a regular Allen wrench, like one of these guys, I went with the long end because the short end, I couldn't really fit it in there properly. So I'm gonna see if I can find, I don't know, like an Allen extension or something to get in there to try to tighten it like really well, because I don't want that to come loose. And then, as you can see here, I have the hoses. Inlet is a small one, outlet is a big one, and then I have hose clamps. And then I actually trimmed these a little bit. I cut a little bit off of them so that they fit well, because otherwise they would have came over here and kind of like looped around. I didn't want that. I didn't want so much excess. Unlike the other one, like that one, I'm gonna leave for now with the full length hoses. This one though, it was a little much. I didn't want to have everything coiled up and nothing's getting caught. There's plenty of slack still underneath. So that's the full catch can installation procedure. The stage 1, super easy, super simple. That stage 2 one though, boy, it's really tough getting back there underneath the intercooler. Getting this little hose was such a pain to get off, and then putting the new ones on and trying to fit the hose clamps on there, it's pretty tight, pretty difficult. And I mean, you could just run the stage 1 catch can and that'll still help. Obviously you want to get both to get the full benefit of catching as much of that oil vapor as possible before it gets into the intake, to try to keep those intake valves clean. But I mean, if you're just daily driving the car, you rip on it every now and then, but you're not really tracking it or really putting it under like high stress, I don't know, the stage 2 maybe you don't really need. Also just because of the extra complexity of like installing it, getting it in there, it's annoying. I feel like if you just need to, if you're just daily driving the car, just stick with the stage 1. But if you really want to get the whole benefit, then do the stage 2. Or if you're gonna track the car, then yeah, definitely you want to get the stage 2 one. But yeah, give this video a like if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. I got a few more mods I still need to do, and hopefully I'll be getting my car tuned in the next couple weeks. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.